The day a single man saved the world from nuclear war. On September 26, 1983, the world nearly ended. It was the height of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union had enough nuclear weapons to destroy humanity several times over. And on that night, deep inside a secret Soviet bunker, alarms began to scream. Satellites had detected American nuclear missiles, flying straight toward the Soviet Union. The protocol was clear: report the attack, launch a counterstrike, end the world. But one man hesitated. This is the story of Stanislav Petrov, the man who saved humanity by doing nothing. We'll uncover how one ordinary decision stopped the greatest catastrophe in human history. To understand the weight of that moment, we need to step back. The Cold War wasn't just political tension, it was a knife-edge balancing act. Both America and the Soviet Union built massive nuclear arsenals, thousands of warheads, each capable of annihilating entire cities in seconds. By the early 1980s, relations were at their lowest point in decades. The Soviets believed the West might launch a surprise first strike. NATO's Able Archer exercises were mistaken for possible preparations for war. Inside the Soviet Union, paranoia grew. Any false signal, any blip on the radar, could be the spark that set off World War III. Beneath Moscow, in a top-secret military command center, a group of officers watched the skies. This was Serpukhov 15, a Soviet early warning satellite bunker. Its job was simple: detect American nuclear launches the moment they happened, and alert high command to retaliate. In this underground room, lit by glowing screens and flashing monitors, sat a lieutenant colonel named Stanislav Petrov. Petrov wasn't a politician. He wasn't a general. He was simply a man on duty that night. But fate had placed the survival of the world in his hands. Just after midnight, the silence shattered, sirens wailed, red lights flashed across the command center. The satellites reported one intercontinental ballistic missile had been launched from the United States, heading toward the Soviet Union. Petrov froze. The procedure was drilled into him. Report immediately. Within minutes, Soviet missiles would be launched in response, but something didn't feel right. Why just one missile? Why not hundreds in a full-scale attack? Then, the nightmare grew worse. The screen flashed again. 2, 3, 4, 5 American missiles inbound. To Petrov and his team, it looked like the beginning of nuclear war. Imagine the pressure in that room. Officers stared at Petrov, waiting for his command. The entire Soviet chain of command relied on his report. The rulebook said, report an attack immediately. High command would assume the worst and launch a counterstrike. Once launched, there would be no going back. The United States would retaliate in return. Billions could die in hours, but Petrov hesitated. His gut told him something was wrong. 5 missiles didn't make sense. A real American strike would have been overwhelming, designed to decapitate Soviet leadership instantly. He reasoned. Maybe the satellites had malfunctioned. Maybe it was a false alarm. And so, Petrov made the most important decision in history. He told his superiors it was a false alarm, no counterstrike, no missiles launched. He waited. Minutes crawled by like hours. If he was wrong, nuclear fire would rain down on Moscow at any moment. But nothing happened. No explosions. No incoming missiles. Petrov had been right. The system had malfunctioned. Humanity was safe, and because one man trusted his instincts over the machine. Later investigations revealed what had gone wrong. The Soviet satellite system, codenamed Oko, had mistaken the reflection of sunlight on high-altitude clouds for incoming missiles. A once-in-a-lifetime glitch. The system screamed war. The computers said it was certain, but it was all an illusion. If Petrov had blindly followed the procedure, the Soviet Union might have unleashed its arsenal in response to nothing more than sunlight. And yet, Petrov's act of defiance didn't bring him glory. Instead of being celebrated as a hero, he was quietly reprimanded for failing to fill out his paperwork correctly. His actions embarrassed his superiors, who had designed the flawed system. Petrov retired early, living in relative obscurity. For decades, the world never knew his name. Only years later, after the Cold War ended, did his story emerge. Historians realized how close we had come to destruction, and how much humanity owed to a single act of human judgment. Think about what that night represents. Billions of lives, reduced to the decision of one man. Every family, every city, every dream of the future, hanging by a thread in a Soviet bunker. Technology had failed. The system had screamed for war, but human instinct, human doubt, and human courage saved us. Stanislav Petrov never considered himself a hero. He often said, "I was just the right person, at the right time, who did nothing." But perhaps in that moment doing nothing was the most heroic act in history. September 26, 1983, the day the world almost ended, and the day one man saved it. It's a reminder that history is not only shaped by generals and kings, but sometimes by ordinary people faced with impossible choices. And as we move into an age where technology and artificial intelligence make decisions faster than humans can react, Petrov's story asks us an unsettling question. What happens when the next alarm sounds? Will there be someone there to question it? Or will humanity's fate be left to the machines? This was the story of Stanislav Petrov, the man who saved the world. If you believe history's forgotten stories should never be lost, subscribe to this channel and join us as we uncover the hidden moments that shaped our world.